So a leak has surfaced on Reddit saying that a new game is coming from TT Games, and it's a Lego game for Doctor Who. I'm super excited about this, and I have details about the game and possibly evidence to say if it's true or not true. So let's get to it. So this leak comes from Reddit, not 4chan like many of the leaks have come from Mortal Kombat, and it's written by user PRG Writes, and it's very generalized in what he or she is saying, but it's titled Next Lego Game is Lego Doctor Who. And the last time we saw Doctor Who was in, as far as in the Lego version, was in Lego Dimensions, which was from 2015 to 2017. And the actual Doctor Who pack that was released was on November of 2015. And that was for Xbox One, PlayStation, 360, Wii U, all that kind of good stuff. And it was basically little Lego sets that you would put on the actual like pad and you could play with the game. And then the more characters you added was the more teams you could play with. It seemed like a really cool idea. I bought it for some of my cousin's kids, and they seemed to like it, but it just, didn't last very long. But it would seem pretty cool, and we got to see iterations of other franchises being thrown in the mix other than just the ones that we've had so far, as far as Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, DC. We got some other characters in the mix. So this is what the leak says. Doctor Who has the biggest selling set for Dimensions. Don't know if that was true or not true, but TT are in the midst of creating a game that features all possible Doctors. The story, from what I've been told, is the currently unannounced new Doctor traveling through time, interacting with the other Doctors. Lots of Victorian England focused levels, but also plenty of amazing alien planets. By all accounts, TT have selected key episodes from each of the Doctor's runs and turned them into levels. It is scheduled to be released for the 60th anniversary, which is next year in 2023. So that's what we've had so far as the leak. Now, just from that alone, I think it's great. I don't know why it's taken them so long to make Doctor Who into a Lego set. If what this says is true, and Doctor Who was the best-selling pack for Lego Dimensions, which I don't think that is true, but if it was, maybe not in the US, maybe in the UK it was, or maybe other parts of the world, but if that is true, why did they take TT Games and Lego so long to make this happen? Now, TT Games is Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers Games, I believe. Still, I don't remember getting told that, but I still believe it's under Warner Brothers Games. But my thing was, after I saw this and was really thinking about it, I thought, I was thinking they don't really make these games at the peak of its success. Right now we've had the recent, it's been the female Doctor. I have not seen that one yet. I know it's love or hate with some people, but my wife was into Doctor Who, and the newer generation Doctor Who, not the originals, but the David Tennant, before David Tennant, up from that, but Eggleston and on. I had her, I forced her to rewatch it with me because I didn't even like Doctor Who at first. I did not like it, but after watching it through, at least up until halfway of Peter Capaldi, I'm a Doctor Who fan, and I would love to see this happen. This is a game that I would love to play. I feel like this game could relate more to kids and adults, but more towards the adults, because by now the fans of Doctor Who, like I said, of Eggleston on to Capaldi, are probably adults by now. They're adult age or teenage, so this will probably cater more to them. So I think sometimes even like Star Wars to sometimes more cater to the older generation, older age, skews older versus younger compared to like Marvel and DC. So this would kind of fall into that line. But some people on the same forum had some reservations about this, so let's kind of get into what they had to say. So at user Mr. the Captain says, my biggest point of skepticism is that Russell T Davies has flat out said that they only started the field editions for the 14th Doctor. So either TT is using a placeholder model and will record dialogue right after the actor is cast, or something just doesn't add up. A user responds by saying, disaster contribution, I mean, the Lego models aren't that complex once they have an actor cast with an outfit and modeler, and the artist could easily have it put together in a few weeks. So this is very plausible, which I agree. If they just have an idea of what it's going to look like, he or she, and they, can get all the mechanics worked out of that, all they have to do is just have a voiceover come in and do the work, and then they can just make it adapt to that. So computers make that pretty easy nowadays. Then Mr. the Captain responds again by saying, the bigger concern is the writing, in my opinion. The Doctors have commonalities, but they all have their own take on the character and plenty of quirks that define their performance, which I agree. Every Doctor, while the Doctor as a whole is the same conceptually, every actor that has portrayed him, or every time the Doctor has been regenerated, he's had a different personality, different quirks, different things that make him likable, not like, etc., that kind of thing. Just something different about him every time. But releasing a game within months of the new actor's first appearance means that they would have to cram all the personality into a couple of months of work. that would involve a complete page one. That would involve a complete one-page punch-up of dialogue, maybe some animation work to translate physicality. Matt Smith's Doctors is much sillier in a movement than Peter Capaldi's, for example. And all the dialogue would have to be recorded within like 3 months of the actor being cast, max. Plus, we have to consider that the actor probably has had very little time to define their performance themselves, so they have nothing to work off of. Ultimately, it would just be really weird, not possible, but very strange. And then another user responded by saying, Lego games usually don't follow personality super hard. They can make an either super stern or super serious character and make it look like the outfit design and make it work just fine. So my response to this is, and I'm trying to remember the games that I've played, you know, Lego Marvel, the DC ones, a little bit of Dimensions. I'm trying to remember, just mainly based off their appearance and their feature set. That's usually what they go by. Yes, there are some probably minor personality tones, but I don't remember it being like that. I think when people play these games, they have it in their minds when they see the character, how they're supposed to act, how they're supposed to think, what they should say, what they should be wearing, what they can do, stuff like that. So I think even if the game doesn't do it for the player does it for the game, if that kind of makes sense. I feel like that's how that would be. And I think there's enough other stuff going on within the game that you may not really need that to happen. So, like, for example, if I'm playing this, I obviously have, you know, the TARDIS, the phone box. That's a character unto itself. So between that and fighting the Master and all the other mini villains that Doctor Who has that have their own personalities and appearances that are very loud and different and, you know, can carry themselves, you also have the companions, which kind of have their own look and stuff like that. And they kind of help with that. So in other words, if I had David Tennant and I had Rose, obviously I would already know from watching the series what their chemistry is like. And just from their appearance in the Lego game, I don't think I'd really be concerned about how much they act. Maybe some of their dialogue would be similar, you know, what I would be used to, but I would know that how they were in the show and how they are in the game should be somewhat similar, but I don't think it's like completely off that. Even like with, you know, Matt Smith and Amy Pond, or, you know, Peter Capaldi and Clara. You know, I just think that when you put those two kind of characters together on the screen, even if they're in Lego form, those, just doing that by itself already kind of does talking for them and gives the personality for them just from the look, because they're in Lego form and people are really cool to see all that. So that's just my opinion on that. You can let me in the comments below if you agree or if you think that's something different, but I don't think that the Lego team needs to take personality too much into play, because there's other things at work that kind of give it personality. So we have the leak on Reddit, we have the comments on it, and then going from that, back in September of last year, we actually had Steven Sharples, who is the principal game designer at TT Games, actually doing a Twitter post answering a question for a fan of Doctor Who in relation to Legos. So let's go over that. So he's responding to a tweet from a user, and the user saying, wishing Star and Darkly, aka Strax, the actor that played Strax, a very happy birthday for the glory of the Centauran Empire. And Steven Sharples, again, he's their product game designer for TT Games, is saying, love Strax. One of my favorite voiceover session I've ever listened to was Strax for Lego Dimensions. The guy nailed every line. Now, continuing from that, someone commented on that tweet and said, God, what I wouldn't have given for a full Doctor Lego game. So from that, a user commented and said, God, what I wouldn't have given for a full Doctor Who Lego game. Dimensions looked awesome in videos I've seen. It was just too expensive for my family at the time. Still, thank you for bringing so much Lego Doctor Who content. And then Steven Sharples replied by saying, you are very welcome. It was the closest we will ever get to a full game, so I'm really lucky to have ever been involved. The fan comments again by saying, man, it saddens me to hear you say that, but I fear you're right, as it still is a jam-packed romp with loads of fun locations, characters, and Easter eggs. Steven replies to that message by saying, never say never, I guess, but I wouldn't have left TT if I thought there was a chance of it happening, ha ha ha. Maybe someone else will pick it up one day. And then we have another person comment, and they say, there's this one dude working on a sweet Who Point and Click Adventure fan game. Reckon this Beeb should throw the official license his way. And then Steven shares a gif of Matt Smith, obviously giving his, you know, blessing to that. So that was all from September of 2021. So, I mean, you know, given the leak that we just got saying that a game could still be in development, and then what we got from the principal game designer at TT Games, you know, kind of contradicts themselves. Now, of course, these leaks are always taken, as it says, with a grain of salt, and leaks and rumors. But that's not to say that something may have changed and they thought, you know what, this would be the perfect opportunity to get people back into Doctor Who. People love Legos. You know, it's kind of a fan base built up on a fan base, right? And so when you bring those two together, it can make sweet music and success. So maybe that's what they're going for. And maybe they think if they do this, maybe it could get people excited again into the franchise. Because in my opinion, I mean, again, I have not seen the latest seasons of Doctor Who, so I could be wrong. So don't at me too hard in the comments. But I think maybe Doctor Who has kind of lost some of its luster since it, you know, I really think, honestly, from Peter Capaldi, probably mid Peter Capaldi on, and then even with the new female Doctor. Not that there's anything wrong with having a female Doctor, because I know, not that my standards are really high, but I think when it comes to this, I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure I would love Jodie. I don't know what her last name is, but I think I would have probably loved the female Doctor. And there'd be nothing wrong with her, but I feel like it just didn't resonate with fans, so they're already trying to get something going on new. So maybe they feel like this could maybe help push them forward. And of course, always something to make money, so having a standalone game they can make money off of and sell merchandise and do all kinds of stuff. So there's always something involved to get something more out of the franchise. So what do you think about the possibility of a Lego Doctor Who game, standalone, no side stuff, just its own game? What do you think about the leak? What do you think about the comments that fans have reservations about? What do you think about the principal game designer saying that possibly may not happen? In the comments below. And that's it for this video, guys. Enjoy this like button. For more, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.